And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GSMC Baseball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And as always, I am your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder. And it's great to have you guys here on this Tuesday morning. Got a lot to talk about on the show, like we normally do. But before we get into the rundown for today's show, I just want to remind you guys for donations and tips, go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps out the show. And then once again, for bonus coverage materials that aren't covered in this broadcast, go to patreon.com and type up GSMC Sports Network, and that's where you can find all the exclusive content for not just my podcast, but the other podcasts on this channel as well. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the rundown for today's show. So obviously, like we normally do, we're going to kick off the show by talking about the latest news and headlines around the league. Then in the second segment, we are going to talk about the MLB power rankings that were released this week, and I'll give my thoughts on that. Then in the third segment, we are going to recap the games from last night. Not a lot of games yesterday. Tonight's going to be a full slate, so that's why in the final segment of the show, we are going to preview the games for tonight and talk about the playoff implications with that. Because obviously, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year. Regular season ends on October 1st, so that's basically the rundown for today. So one of the things I actually wanted to touch upon before we get into all that. So yesterday, I made a minor error when I was talking about the Diamondbacks and the Yankees because I opened up the show by talking about the latest headlines, and I just talked about how the Yankees got eliminated from the playoffs, playoff contention. But one of the things I forgot to mention was the fact that Aaron Judge hit 3 home runs on Friday, and for some reason I forgot that it was against the Diamondbacks. Because I did mention that the Diamondbacks won the first 2 games, and we'll get into it later in the show, but they ended up losing yesterday to the Yankees, and the Yankees took 2 out of 3. So I just nonchalantly said, yeah, the Diamondbacks took the first 2 games in the series, and they're trying to go for the sweep. So that's on me, and especially that had to do with my team, but that just shows you, the kind of season that the Yankees are having where I just was like, yeah, they lost. But again, I knew Judge hit 3 home runs. I was going to bring that up, and I forgot to do that. But I was just so focused on, the Yankees being eliminated that I didn't mention that. And then I just assumed that the Diamondbacks won on Friday when they in fact didn't, and they ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. But we'll get into that later on in the show. But I just wanted to apologize for that minor error. But it's going to happen. But it shouldn't. But anyways, so let's get into some of the latest headlines around the league. So one of the big things is Terry Francona, the manager of the Guardians. So he is going to be retiring at the end of the season. So he is no longer going to be managing anymore. And we'll take a deeper dive into that at some point. But Terry Francona, definitely one of, probably one of the best managers in my lifetime. I can say that, winning those championships with the Red Sox and, bringing when they were called the Indians in 2016 to the World Series. They did fall short, but Terry Francona was a manager that consistently, brought his teams to the playoffs. Obviously, with the Red Sox, it didn't end the way he wanted it to, and I don't remember if he took a break and then he came back, but he's been a solid manager for the Guardians now, and he dealt with some health issues, over the course of the last couple of years, so I think that forced him to miss some time, but he's one of the, like I said, he's one of the best managers in my lifetime, and somebody that had a lot of success over the course of his career, and a well-deserved retirement. So congratulations to him and best of luck in his retirement. And yeah, he's managing his last couple of games for the season, and then that's going to be it. And the Guardians are going to be looking for a new manager. But yeah, definitely somebody else. Again, for somebody that's 23 years old, somebody else from your childhood that was big part of it. As much as it was part of a team that you didn't necessarily like in the Red Sox, and you still don't like. It's definitely it's sad when you see guys that you grew up watching, being a part of those teams and being around for a while as you're getting older, and now he's retiring. So, but congratulations to him, like I said, and best of luck in his retirement. So that's one of the bigger headlines for today, is mentioning that. So MLB also came out with an article with 10 of the most bonkers stats of 2023. So the Braves one of them is the Braves have a 5.01 slugging. And, I mean, they have the best record in baseball, so you kind of know why that's the case. I mean, you got Ronald Acuna, who's going to win MVP. You got Matt Olson, who's an MVP candidate as well. So, Matt Olson's got 52 home runs. Acuna's got 40. And, you got some other guys on the team that got power, Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies as well. You also have Marcell Ozuna, too. So, yeah, that's basically the 5 players that they talk about in the article is those 5 players. And that's why their OPS is, not their OPS, their slugging is where it is. Because that team's got a lot of power, and that's going to be one of the reasons why they can go very far in the playoffs and and win the whole thing. So, but yeah, that was one thing that they covered in this article. Also, rookies with 9 triples. So you got Corbin Carroll and Gunnar Henderson, who are right now both the leading candidates in their respective leagues for Rookie of the Year. So you have Corbin of the Diamondbacks, Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. The Diamondbacks, who I just mentioned before. Gunnar Henderson having an incredible season, with his I think he's got 26 home runs on the year. They have at least 20 home runs. Both of them. Corbin Carroll's got he's got 25, 26 home runs around there. So actually, let's take a look quickly. Yeah, so Corbin Carroll's got 25, and Gunnar Henderson he's got 27 and 81 RBIs. So, yeah, both of these guys right now, it looks like they are the front runners to win Rookie of the Year for their respective leagues. So, but yeah, 9 triples for both of them. Royce Lewis of the Twins, 4 grand slams. He hit 4 grand slams this season, and he's got 5 in his career. And he made his debut last year. He played in 12 games for the Twins. And then this year, in how many games? He's played in 58 games. He's got 15 home runs, 52 RBIs, and he has a 309 batting average, 920 OPS. So, yeah, he's in 58 games. He's been very good, and 4 grand slams, and 5 in total. 4 grand slams this year, 5 in total. That's really good, and the Twins are definitely going to need that. With the postseason coming up. So another thing, and this is interesting, home teams have only a 521 winning percentage this season. So talk about home field advantage. It's not really been that good this year. I mean, playoffs are obviously different, so we'll have to, wait and see on that. But that's not that good. And the Astros, they finished with the losing record at home for the first time since 2014. They have a 481 winning percentage at home this season. So, yeah, that's not good. Oh, yeah, so, and the next one is obviously something I brought up. The Padres being 0-12 in extra inning games this season. Just doesn't make any sense. And actually, it says it puts San Diego in a tie for the most extra inning games without a win all time, tied with the expansion 1969 Montreal Expos, who were also 0-12. That's crazy. Can the Padres break the record? We'll have to see. We still got a few games left. Yeah, but that's crazy, and that's crazy that. But the other thing is this. This is before the new rules, so this is like the traditional, extra inning games. This isn't with that runner at second base, so that's tough though. That's tough. Then you got Trey Turner, 29 flawless stolen base attempts. So he still has not been caught yet. The current record is right now held by another Philly, which is Chase Utley, 23 for 23 in 2009. Yeah, I see. Utley to me didn't he was a power guy. It didn't really seem like he was a guy that was a stolen base guy. I'd look more towards like Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino, but yeah. I mean, Utley was a guy that stole bases. And they bring up Kyle Schwarber, talking about, hitting 197 on the season, but having, 40 home runs. I mean, it's very wacky season for Kyle Schwarber. Clayton Kershaw, he's leading the team with 126 in the third innings pitched. Guy's a workhorse. That's why he's a future Hall of Famer. And, he's going to be an important piece for the Dodgers in the playoffs. Ohtani, even though he's dealt with injuries this season, he's got a 10 WAR. So that just that shows you how. And Aaron Judge's WAR was very high last year as well. So that just goes to show you, the impact that Ohtani has. Although the Angels' season has just spiraled out of control now. Mike Trout, he's out for the rest of the year. That was confirmed. I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday, but I mean, I think we all pretty much knew that was the case even before it was confirmed. So, but yeah, it just stinks that Trout's been dealing with injuries a lot recently. So the return of the 2020 player, you have Chas McCormick. He's one stolen base away. Bogarts is a homer and 2 steals away. Yelich and Josh Lowe are a homer away. So Chas McCormick is I would say is one of the most underrated players in baseball. He's a solid player for the Astros, and he hits at the bottom of their lineup mostly. And I mean, at least I'm saying that just because when they, when the Astros are playing the Yankees, Chas McCormick's good. And this is what I'm talking about with the Astros. They just, they lose a lot of their good players, and they just replace them like it's nothing. But that just goes to show you how well run the Astros are. So, but yeah, so that's an interesting article. But yeah, and we'll get into all the games, later on in the show. We'll recap them and then we'll preview everything. But yeah, also actually quick thing, injury update. So Max Fried and Charlie Morton were put on the IL. Max Fried, it was more so because there was I don't know if because it was a blister that he had. So that's not really going to impact. It's not really going to impact the playoffs. He's going to be back. Charlie Morton was put on the IL as well. I don't know what the specific injury was. But yeah, I mean, you don't want that, obviously. You want to have your guys, healthy for the postseason. But Max Fried, it doesn't seem like the injury is that concerning. So he should be back by then. And Charlie Morton, obviously, his season 14-12, 3.64 ERA. So, you want to have him in. And this is a guy that's pitching big games, winning with the Astros. Yeah, so actually his was right index finger inflammation. So, they should get these guys back, obviously. And I did mention that Fried is dealing with the blister injury. So, well, if you even want to call it just a blister. I don't know why I said blister injury, but yeah, so they should get these guys back. So I don't think that's anything too concerning. But you want to have these guys back by the playoffs, obviously. But the Braves do have a first-round bye, so that helps. But, yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the latest news and headlines. So with that, we are going to take our first break of the show. And then when we come back, we are going to discuss the MLB Power Rankings that were released this week and go over that. So Stick around, and we will be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast.